Okay, so this is Theodore. I name my bags. So Theodore is my travel bag, and I've had him for some time. And the nice thing about Theodore is, were it to rain, I can pull out from the bottom the covering, put that up quick, and we're set, we're good to go. Everything's nice and protected. Boom. Just fold it back up under, and we're good to go. That's built in. It's nice to have a nice elastic bag, or elastic handle on that thing, and nice little pouch for it to go into. So people might be wondering what I have in here. It's heavy, and it's heavy because I've got a lot of stuff in here. So the company is DI Giant, I think is the actual name of the bag, manufacturer. It's got a lot of pockets. So over here, this is my extension. Sometimes used as a self-defense tool, but it's also used as an extension to a tripod, to a handheld unit. I've got several things for the iPhone and so forth, and you can hang that and go up nice and high. It's carbon fiber, works really well. I have other safety mechanisms in here that might be used for self-defense as well, but you also have this little strap here and strap up here, so you can put in a tripod and mount that to that. And on the other side you have another pocket, and in there I keep a lot of my batteries for the Blackmagic Pocket 4K. Okay, inside the top, I have another protective, water-resistant protective case, which I use to keep dust off of the Blackmagic in certain environments, sometimes the sun. I keep the dust, debris, things like that, and of course rain. I've shot in the rain with coverings on this so that it's never gotten wet. This is nice to have, and they're fairly cheap. They're always something to get because you can just crumple them up, put them down wherever you need to, and you've got something to protect your camera and your equipment in case you don't have another case. Mouthpiece, because I train. We do a lot of sparring and that sort of thing. And I have it's an iPhone holder with an adapter. Like I said, I can use that to mount onto here, and I can extend that out over the crowd or to get high angle shots as I need. So that's in there. What else? This is a flexible hood that goes onto some of my larger diameter lenses, and it collapses down because it's nice and soft rubber. And an extra battery pack from Anker. This is a nice thing to always have. You want to have that. And yeah, we're fully charged, so we're good to go. An extra thicker cable for the HDMI. So there's always a chance you will be needing that. I have a case where I have, and this is just the top compartment, I have a case where I have my wireless GOs from Rode. So both transmitter and receiver, dual. That way I can run two people at the same time. There is a little problem with interference. I haven't nailed it down yet, but I think it's running both of them at the same time, and I'll do another video on that. Everybody needs one of these to get the dust off your lens. Nice rubber, surgical rubber material. You'll be surprised where this actually comes in handy. A lot of times when trying to get certain things off, like certain screws, and I don't have a screwdriver, I can actually just set it in there if the head is big enough, and then I can crank and turn, and I've got a lot of gripping power on that. Sometimes other pieces of equipment don't come off well. You can use that. It's really cheap. There's barely anything to it. It allows you to manipulate with some good tactile grip to take off certain items. So that's there. Okay, the nice thing about this is that it's got a little extra space in here so that if you do have other items in there, it'll fit right in that space and you can still zip it closed. So that's nice because it's not just this compartment, you actually get this extra length that you can put things into as well. Now on the top, brace yourself. Okay. All right, I can explain this. This is Hollywood's secret. All right, this would have been more impressive, I suppose, showing you to the black side first, but the black and the pink there, I guess, either way. Anyway, what these are is they're individual silicone adhesive strips. And what I do with those is, for the microphone, for lav mics, what I do is I take off the top strip and I adhere that directly to the person's body. Now, it will pull off some hair. So if you've got hair on your chest, you're gonna appreciate that these stay on a long time and you don't have to keep pulling them off and re-engaging them. They have a nice feel. We used them today. I bought them because I wanted to check it out because we have some upcoming shooting in Germany and we've got a short film we're going to shoot there as well. I need to have something that's actually going to adhere well and not move around. And since we train self-defense, the best thing to do is to actually get something like this and have it tied down in two places on the body. So one up at the mic head and one down on the cable, so that as the body flexes, it's not going to draw it out and pull on the cable to pull the mic. This is actually really tacky and save the backing, because when you pull it off the body, minus some hair, it's still tacky as heck. And you can put that back on and you can reuse those on that same actor. I really did enjoy it. It worked really well. Quick pain on removal, but otherwise, Hollywood's fashion secret, that silicone adhesive tape. What it's generally for is sticking to the body on people's dresses. They apply it to the actual material near the cleavage usually, and then press it down onto clean skin, and it keeps the clothing from slippage. I ended up using it because I wanted a solution to hold the lav mics on without having to jury rig a bunch of other things. That works really well. It worked really well for me today, and I think I'm going to be using that a lot more. This is just a cheap Walmart 1 or 1.5 power glasses. I've got excellent vision, except around 48. It started reading things like this and a little further away, and it's like, ugh. But excellent vision beyond that. It's just the close-up vision. So including the one on my head, which I carry, and another compartment, I always have a backup just in case, because sometimes using the GH4, that little screen, if your eyes aren't that good at close range, you will not read very well how in focus your shot is on that little screen. That's why you would use a monitor like we're using right now. It's definitely something you want to have. There's no sense in not having something in focus, because not in focus shots you just cannot use. I mean, it's the bane of filming for 2 hours and find out, that some of the shots weren't in focus, and you lose the footage from the time of day, the actors that were there, etc., so forth and so on. You can't rely on a little screen. You can't rely on vision that doesn't work mask within a certain range. So those two combined, it's not a good bet. This is a great tweezers. I love this tweezers. My students are afraid of me whenever I pull it out, but for good reason. This came with, I think it was OWC. I bought a hard drive and it came with it, part of the tear down process of removing another hard drive, I believe it was. And I got that free, so thank you, OWC. The other is, and I won't go through all of it because there's a lot of stuff here, but some of these, like the small rig, this is a beefy little, I think they call them magic arms, but you can hear that. It's got teeth and it grips really nicely. Not only does it grip so that you can hold it in whatever angle you've got here, but it locks down whatever angle you have each one of these individual plates on. So if I move that up to here and I clamp this down, that thing is locked. It's really sweet. It is heavy duty. This is a heavy thing. This has got some weight to it. When you're looking for something that you need to not fail on you, go to small rig, pick one of these up. You won't be disappointed. That thing, that holds a lot of weight. I was really surprised at that. It'll hold heavy monitors and so forth for the cameras, and it'll hold like the Blackmagic at certain angles and things like that. Also, one of these, which is just basically, it's a cold shoe, but it's a multiple angled cold shoe that allows you to mount onto different accessories, including this magic arm. You can just put in like a shotgun mic at a different angle, that sort of thing. It works really well. Definitely a screwdriver. Always have to have a screwdriver. Extra SD cards. You always have to have backups. There's always a need for it, because if you don't have an SSD out there, have extra cards. It doesn't hurt. Different cleaning cloths, to microfiber cloths, to make sure that they are. And what I do for the microfiber cloths is I only touch the side that has the writing, because it's easy to remember, so that anytime that I work to clean, I'm only exposing this side to the actual lens. I don't expose fingers and oils to the other side. I only use it, my fingers only touch this side. It's just one little trick that I use. You may have others, but that's just something I do. I also have rails, so sometimes I'm extending things out onto either the Blackmagic or any of my other rigs. You need those to hold extra monitors, to hold the follow focus, so you need those rails for that. I'm gonna tuck my Hollywood Secret back in here. I have throughout my bag a bunch of Velcro, and I cut them in different strips. I just set them in here, so I always have them. You never know when you're going to need them on set. Always have extras and you won't be disappointed. I also have from Zeiss, they have these nice handy wipes specifically for lenses, for cleaning lenses. These are great to have in addition to the microfiber cloths, and you don't have to worry about having lenses in poor shape. So that's just on the top compartment. Now we go into the big meaty compartment here. Okay, top part of the meaty compartment has its own area here. I have two different cards. One is the Spider Checker. One is the Spider Checker 24. Gives me both my color and white balance and so forth. Sometimes it's nice to have a rather large one like that, but this is a lot cheaper than this. This is the color checker and X-Rite color checker. This I use all the time. Anybody who knows me knows that I use this all the time, but it has its own special place. Always, always, always put things back in the same spot. so you always remember where they are. And if you have crew always know. They always go back to the same spot, and you don't mess with that formula. Everything has a place, and if you maintain that, you will not be disappointed when you're hunting for something. I was looking for this thing all over. This is kind of hilarious because I seriously was looking for this.
Is that the one you thought we lost?
Yeah, it's the one I thought I lost. It was like, Apparently, I invalidated my own statement there by placing this somewhere else than. All right, you caught me. It could have been one of you guys. True. I'll take the blame. It's my equipment. I'm the head of the ship. I'll take the blame. All right. All right, main compartment. Normally I have the GH4 setting down here with the lens going up into there. Right now she's shooting with the GH4. This is where I have the Black Magic. And whatever lens I happen to have on at the time. I interchange with a lot of different lenses, and so different ones will fit in here at whatever the need. I typically will have the quick release plate from the Moza, so I can interchange it between the Moza Air Cross, the Moza Air Cross 2, etc. And it works really well. Fits nicely, and again, this is my own rigging here. I put the compartments from a couple of different bags together here to make this work really well. So that's in there, and then I have my tentacle sync for making sure time code is accurate across other devices, or just even on this for a certain amount of time. So I have an external recorder that does have time sync, accurate time sync. This will work maybe about 40 minutes on its accuracy for time code syncing to where it remains true. 40 minutes to about an hour, after which it'll drift for a little bit, so many frames. So if you want precision, you get a tentacle sync and put that into play. Another lens that I always use, other than the 12 to 60, is the 20. This is a simple Panasonic 20. Now, all of this extra stuff here is stuff I put on. This is just, I suggest getting these if you're looking for needing to adapt other lenses, or like the SLR Magic, the SLR Magic ND filters. So like ND filters, if I need to put who thought you could take this and put it on this, right? Well, you need all these step-up rings in order to make that happen. And they're cheap. You just get those. Each one of these breaks down. So if you need to, you can pull off whichever one you want. Each one is an individual ring that comes off. So it's one of the best ways to make sure that you can attach other things that you need to attach and have it on hand. If you keep it on here, you just have a nice hood for keeping the light out, which is great. It recesses really nicely. It keeps that on there. So even if you're just looking for something to put a nice hood on there, get a bunch of step-up rings and it works well. And then they have the other benefit of being able to use other ND filters and whatever type of thing you need on there. So that always gets tucked into here. And I have other lens, UV filters and so forth, different caps, my different follow focus rings, basically teeth that go on the lens. And I have a follow focus from Moza that I use occasionally. And as well, I had another one that's a bit of a manual. And this one is kind of nice because you can actually take it and move that handle up and down. Sometimes you don't need the rig, follow focus rig. You can just use that. I also use this. Which sets up on your device, your lens, and basically it wraps around and you can clamp it on nice and tight, and you can use that for an external focus lever. It works really well. It's not as flexible as some other ones, and I broke it because it's not so flexible. Oh, that's Molly. I'll put a link in in the description below. I have another channel that I'm starting up about cats, so if you're into cats, I have little stories with them. I just started that channel a little while back, and so she's one of my stars. But this is nice, except like I said, it wasn't flexible enough, and I was trying to clamp it on a smaller lens and snap, it broke. There are ones out there. I wouldn't quite recommend this brand, which is the Movo, simply because it's inflexible. It'll break, and but I can still use it. So even broken, there's enough of material on here for the Velcro that it holds it in place, so I can still use it, and I have used it in a broken setup. Works well. I have other setups here as far as the clamps and slides for the Moza attachments. Standard engineers, it was an engineer who gave me this, actually Ohm. Believe it or not, she's not just an artist, she's an actual engineer too. She's not just a kick-ass person, she actually has some brains in that body of hers, as well as an artistic component. It's really cool to be around people like that. Here I slide in here. These are really nice. These are super cheap. It's good to get. They are white balance cards. Now, this is not the best white, but on the back you'll see it's a little more reflective. You do have a gray card, and this works well because when you're using false color, and this is one of the tricks. What I do is I set up my exposure on a false color to have these just show up. They're supposed to be 18% gray. This one's a little darker, but not by much. And the 18% gray shows up as green for the settings that I like for when I set up exposure. So they turn up nice and green. When you bring either your aperture, shutter speed, or your ISO, get those all set to show this as green, you're good to go. That's my trick. That's what I use. I also have my battery solution, so that gets put in here. There's actually the battery pack, the NPF 970 is being used on the monitor that is attached to the Lumix GH4. Otherwise it would go onto here. I do have other batteries, which are the smaller ones, which go in here. So these run about an hour. Again, these will go directly onto this, and I will set this up however I want and plug it directly in, and I've got good power for an hour with these batteries, and the larger ones I can get 3 to 4 hours on that. Good solution, works all the time, always have it with me. Always have a couple of these cables because you never know when a cable's going to break. They're cheap enough, you get them, you don't have to worry about it. Little mic, Rode video mic there, just in case I need either the GH4 to have something or for the Blackmagic. I have my Purple Panda bag. My Purple Panda bag has my Purple Panda microphones and the little purple fuzzies. Now, I do have black ones as well, so I use those. And Purple Panda is really solid. The mic works really well. You are listening to me through a different one, which does not have a name on its bag. And you're listening to the lav mic on that, which is really nice. And the only reason that I use this one is when I can actually run a cord all the way to the camera. This particular one, I'll put a link somewhere in here, does not work well with the Rode Wireless Go's, and it produces this high-pitched track to it. And I've done another video on that, so I'll put that up in there so that you can see that if you aren't familiar with that. But running it through the cable works perfectly. There's no problem. It's with the transmitter on the receiver. There's something with the Rode Wireless Go that particular lens or microphone does not work. The Purple Panda works perfectly. So whenever I need to rig somebody up with a mic at distance and unattached, I put the Purple Panda lav mic on and we go. My bag. a bag that I got from Tentacle Sync. So when you get Tentacle Sync, they give you a compartment, a little pocket bag that you can put other things in. It's a durable bag. I really do love this, as you can see by the fibers that are in there. But what I do is I use a lot of my Rode mic connectors, my little bands here, splitters and so forth. So all of my microphone attachments go in there. And I also have my adapter for iPhone, and you need that in order to be able to run any of the other mics on there clean into the iPhone. It works really well, but it's again just something you have to have. Got a couple of other little things in there. I do have this as well. It's similar to the Magic Arm on the small rig that I had. This one's just a different brand, but it came free with something else that I bought. So I have it there as an extra. And here, we'll get this out of the way first. This is the SLR Magic ND filter. That gets put in there. And you've got some, I think it's 6 stops. It's actually really nice, comes in handy. People are complaining about the IR pollution. When you're using those in the Blackmagic, you can fix that in post. There's an awful lot you can do with raw footage. So you're using raw footage, Blackmagic Raw. Get your exposure set. Get all your lighting and color corrections set when you're first exposing it. And then later on in post, you just dial out the red. There's a red that comes in. But if you're familiar with using DaVinci Resolve, you don't have to worry about that. I've actually shot some really great footage with it, and it's not that much of a problem. If you're color correcting properly, you're going to do well masking that out anyway. Then I got this. I think this was like a 20 or 30 cent case for a school case. Pop it open, and you've got to always have this nice little clamp so you can cut cable if you need to. All assorted types of cold shoe mounts and adapters. All assorted adapters as far as, 3/4 to 1/4 inch mounts, including their female components, extra screwdrivers, extra cables just in case. Nice flat iPhone holder. You can clamp that down, mount it to whatever you need to. Fits in here really nice. I think that's actually my sister's, but she can have that bag at any time she wishes, but she let me borrow it. And more components as far as that goes. And this is the L bracket that goes onto this. When you get this battery adapter, you get this little L bracket. The L bracket sits on there, so you can mount whatever you want through this little L bracket opening. So that works really nicely, so you don't actually have to mount it directly here. You can mount it to anything else that you want through a clamp system or just screws, but opens that up nicely, slides on and off really well. So always have that. That's tucked in there nice and tight. Again, just plenty of other Allen wrenches, other adapters. So I've got way up to 5/8 to 1/4, that sort of thing. Every once in a while, replace and put a silicone pack in there or a desiccant pack in there so that you keep moisture out. In Florida, we have to worry about that more. So this is filled with that, and a lot of even the cold shoe adapter plates. Pop that on there so you can mount accessories that use a cold shoe on there. I also normally put there's a cable, a very fine, flexible HDMI cable that goes into an adapter that goes into the GH4, which is what she's looking through right now. So that normally goes in here as well. Again, everything has its place. I also have this, and this came off of a cheap rig that I had it was one of those tiny 4K head camera type things, but it came with this nice adapter that again, allows you to put an iPhone, allows you to put any other device and mount it at whatever angle you want and clamp it tight. It's really nice. And again, cheap because it just came with the device. Always have that. I also have adapters, so I have a bag here that gets tucked in there. This is my adapter because I have a external recorder. You always want to have some type of adapters. Always have another card reader, SD card reader, and also L adapters for HDMI cables. So sometimes you don't want the cable coming directly out but going upwards. You have those adapters. And then you have adapters for, because sometimes I'll put on different external hard drives to the Blackmagic, and what I need are USB connectors into the USB 3.1, and these adapters work really well for that, so you can pretty much adapt any type of fast flash drive, something with normal USB connector, you can put that on there. So this always goes with me as well. It's just something, because you never know what you're going to need. If your flash drive dies and you need to put in a thumb drive or something else, you want to make sure that you have the connectors for it. Others are just external batteries. We have other batteries in there, including the little adapter here that goes onto the Blackmagic. So it's an external connector that can go into different types of battery packs like that. It can go into, I have another NPF 70 type battery that just plugs into that. Works really well. So I always have these extra battery solutions, including the original power cable that goes directly into the Blackmagic. And you always want to have a bunch of power cable accessories for the main camera and never rely on just the one or two. Always have backups and have them in different places too, which I do on other bags. So, but this is the main bag that I run. The majority of everything I think I've covered here that's worth mentioning. A good bag will last a long time. You can see this does have a somewhat resistant, water resistant covering that will help protect this in here, but not fully, so that's why you need the bottom part of the case to put that on there. Other part is you have a lot of different places that you can access what you need in there, and one of these is of course the monitor cover for the monitor that I have separately, and this sometimes goes directly over the Blackmagic, so sometimes I'll keep the sun off of that by using that. Works really well. Fits in there tightly and nicely. And that seals up, goes to my back and goes with me into restaurants. It goes wherever else I need to go and don't want to leave it in a hot car so that the Blackmagic doesn't get cooked. By the way, you're viewing this through the Panasonic GH4 25mm lens, but it's 50mm for full frame. It's a 1.7 aperture. That's why you get such nice depth of field blur behind me. I like using that because it retains the focus on what you need focused. So it works really well, including, you know, cats that tend to go through, blurs them out just a little bit, so you're not sure if you saw a cat, you know, if it's like the Matrix. Did one go through and did it go through again? So be on the lookout for those because somebody might have cut the hard line. So this is the bag. This is what I carry with me a lot. It's durable. It's gone through quite a lot. It's gone a lot of places and it has served me well. Get a good heavy-duty bag like this and you aren't going to be disappointed. You'll have everything there that you need. And it's just over time, I narrowed down what are the minimums that I need in order to shoot on location with a cast waiting and everything else to make sure I have everything I need. A good bag will allow you to stuff it with all of those items. And if you have a question and you like what you saw, let me know. I am open to shooting other things that you would like to see, so let me know what your requests are. Of questions and comments, please put them below, and I will try to get the links up. I'm trying to get these videos up fast, so if I don't get the links up right away for the equipment, I will put them in there. Feel free to bug me about it left and right, and I will get to it. So absolutely bug me, I'm okay with that. And I appreciate it actually if you do, because sometimes I'm in such a rush I forget to do it, and that helps a lot. So, and again, please subscribe if you enjoyed this. That way we can grow this channel and I can do a lot more of these. Thank you.